So, good afternoon, my friends. We had a wonderful centering prayer meeting on Monday, and I'm glad many of you were able to attend. It's an important meeting for me every week to connect with my contemplative friends and share my journey and to hear of others' journeys. It's helpful along the way for me, provides a deep level of fellowship and connectedness. And then, of course, our centering prayer is a deep connection to God, period. So it was a wonderful time. And it reminded me, as we were talking about the current situation with our country and our cares, concerns about that, and some of the anxiety that's brought up with us, it reminded me of a conversation that I had 2 days prior to that with my wife. And I was sharing with her how things were seemingly tasteless to me. Some things were becoming tasteless. I'd be watching television and an advertisement would come on. It would be like, is this for real? You know, what are they trying to do? How are they trying to influence me? I don't get this. I don't want to hear this. And then I'd listen to the news, and the news was not what I hoped it would be. And I'm finding it was upsetting. Yeah. So I'm just finding that the world was like becoming kind of tasteless to me. And so I was sharing my response of that to my wife. And she says, she used a really important word for me. She said, it doesn't sound like you're being nourished. Nourished. I'm not being nourished by that. In fact, the opposite of nourishment is probably happening. I'm being depleted by that. So I began to reflect on that, to just begin to look at how I'm spending my time, what I'm reading, what I'm watching on television, what I'm thinking, who I'm spending time with. And realize for me to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit, I need to be paying attention to what nourishes me. So I started to do a little casual inventory of that. And I don't know that I've gotten to the end of that exploration, but I've become aware that there are things in this world that do nourish me. So spiritually, centering prayer is something that nourishes me. John O'Donohue, the writer, Irish poet, Episcopal priest, and writer, his work nourishes me, specifically his book Anamcara, Anamcara, which translates into soul friend. And there are other writers like Richard Rohr and some Eastern writers that nourish me. So I committed that I would spend some time, continue to spend time in centering prayer and spend time reading those things that really nourish me. So socially, what nourishes me? What nourishes me is attending centering prayer meeting on Monday night. Having a beautiful conversation of gratitude with Nancy Bouchard. Talking about centering prayer and things we read spiritually with my wife. talking to my children, spending time going to church at St. John's online, connecting with people who are spiritually based, that have a foundation in the spiritual life, people whose values are similar to mine, who reinforce my commitments to walk the spiritual path, to walk the journey to Christ. So I reminded myself that those are things that nourish me socially, and so I will continue to do those, and I'll reach out to do them more. There's also the physical side of nourishment. And what can I do to nourish me physically? First of all is, making sure that a reasonable portion of my diet, what I'm eating, is fresh and healthy food and cooked in a fresh and healthy way. Another thing that comes up is getting connected to the natural world, walking, being outside. That is almost universally nourishing to almost everyone I know. So I've reflected on this, and I'm going to reflect on it some more. And I'm encourage you to consider what really nourishes you, what doesn't nourish you, and to increase what nourishes you and let go of some of the things that you know need to be either eliminated or just reduced in the amount of time you spend with it. Nourishing can be real simple. I've alluded to some big things like centering prayer and church and reading and food and all that. But petting your cat or your dog is about as nourishing as something can get. Sitting and having a cup of coffee and contemplating this beautiful world which we have, or over a conversation with a beautiful friend, or maybe just listening to the sound of the rain as it comes down and watching the water pool, the drops drop, the sounds of the rain, the smell of the rain, being engaged mindfully with what's going on around us. Nourishment can be very simple. It can be more complicated, but it's of real benefit. So I invite you along with me to do an inventory of what nourishes you and give nourishment to yourself, and then find ways to give nourishment to your friends and family. We all will be happier. You will be happier. And God's love will live on and live out through you. Amen.